Hi everybody and welcome back to Lost Genre Reddit Stories. This post is from the subreddit Am I Overreacting and it's by user Lookout Lockout. Am I overreacting for wanting to see a therapist after wife changed the locks because I went to a baby shower? Wife and I are both 30. Tried to have our first baby for 4 failed cycles and decided to take a break for a few cycles because we were taking it pretty hard. It's been 3 months since we tried. Meanwhile, my little sister is pregnant with her first baby, which I'm very excited for. My wife was too at first. Then we had a text conversation where I asked if we were busy on the date of the baby shower and she said she didn't think so and asked why. I told her it was about the baby shower and that I was told my wife RSVP'd that we couldn't make it. She then tells me, "Oh yeah, I don't want to go, not feeling up to baby things." I told her I understand, things sting at the moment, but that I'd still like to go to support my sister for her first baby and that I could go on our behalf. She told me that it'd hurt her feelings if I went without her, that my sister has everything and everyone she needs and that she needs me. I was curious as to why she RSVP'd no to the baby shower, 2 hours away, without talking to me first. Anyway, after talking that night, she said I could go to the shower and seemed supportive. She said she was just in her feelings. Fast forward to the week of the shower. We had another text conversation that started with her saying, "I've been thinking about it and I don't think it's fair for you to go. I'm still grieving, even if you're not. Going to this is like twisting the knife. You're twisting the knife." I replied by saying that I'm sorry, that I'm still torn up too, and that I can't wait to raise kids with her, but we've both always wanted to be an aunt and uncle, and that now we get to be. Then I said that I wanted to share a little joy while things were rough. Her response was to say that I was literally choosing another pregnant woman over her, and asked if I could understand how hurtful that was. I told her we were talking about my sister and that it's best we table the conversation for later in the day when I get home. Then I asked her if it would help things if we started trying again, that we're both happier when we're trying. She just said no. Well, we had therapy the next day, after which my wife was once again supportive of me going. Other than saying she'd miss me, I went up a day early to spend more time with the family, nothing seemed off. Then, while I was at the shower, she dropped a bomb on me. I got a text saying, "What kind of man can stay by his woman's side when her world is crashing down? It's making me sick. You're off celebrating when I'm the lowest I've ever been. This is like emotional cheating almost. You're going to have to make up for this betrayal for a while because I am hurting thanks to you." I replied telling her I love her, that I know she wants our family to grow, that I did too, and I understand her heartbreak. But even though I'm also hurting, I was having some gladness being there and I hadn't felt that in a while. I told her I was mostly there for my sister and our future nephew and to remember that we want to be his aunt and uncle. Then I said that we need to talk about this in therapy and not brush it off anymore. I said that grief is supposed to change over time and that I didn't think it was changing for her after months. She said that things probably won't change until I give her a baby. I told her I'd call her when I'm on my way home, and I did, but she wasn't home. I asked her if she was at her parents'. She said yes, that they were having dinner. Then I got home, and I still don't know what all happened, but she changed the locks to our house. I called and she didn't pick up, so I texted her to pick up, that I needed to know why I was locked out and to come home now or I'd kick the back door in. Her only reply was to tell me, "I already told you, you betrayed me. You don't get to just come home willy-nilly like nothing happened. Your bag is already packed. Go stay at a hotel for the night or something." All I could say was, "What the F? I love you, but what the F? Come home now and you're going to the damn doctor tomorrow." We had a big argument when she came back to let me in and she insisted that this was worse than me cheating on her. It's been almost a week since then. We've been to therapy again. She saw her doctor. Neither of them seemed too concerned because she's acting normal now and even wants to try to conceive again. I told her I scheduled a first session with my own therapist because I'm hurt and I don't want to talk to her, much less try for a baby until I work through this myself. She said I'm overreacting because she made it right immediately, came home and let me in the house, and hasn't brought up how she feels about the shower since that night, except for in therapy. Am I overreacting? No, definitely not overreacting. Look, I absolutely agree. Grief is real and she's definitely feeling it. But her behavior, locking you out, calling your support for your sister a betrayal, that you were picking another pregnant woman over her, talking about how she's in pain, all the while dismissing your pain. Yeah, that's a bit too much. That's self-centered and that's definitely not good for the relationship. Bottom line is, OP, grief is not an excuse for control, punishment, or trying to rewrite reality like nothing happened just because she went back to let you in. And the fact that she believes this or she's trying to push for it is just a lack of accountability. There's no healing there. So you're right, OP. Therapy is the right move because let's face it, what she did was not normal. And I see it as a very bright orange flag, the fact that both her therapist and your couple's therapist didn't see this or see this as kind of okay because she's acting normal now. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments section, and now let's check out the community comments. Competitive Fox 38 says, so you guys tried to conceive for 4 months, took a break for 3, and then she locked you out of the house for not skipping a super special life moment with your own sister after you guys had talked about it a bunch? Unless there's more to this story, you are not overreacting, and I would want to understand from her therapist and doctor why they aren't concerned with such erratic behavior. That isn't to say there can't be some explanation or that you shouldn't give her time to work through her feelings, but if she's coming out of this with the sense she didn't do anything wrong here, that feels like the wrong takeaway. Support, validation, and respect are two-way streets, and in those text messages, I really only see one of you trying to understand and support the other one. And OP responds, appreciate this because no one else seeing anything wrong here makes me feel insane. Her mom called her on it a little bit, but the doctor and therapist said they'd be concerned if she locked me out and kept me locked out. Since she came right home and let me in, it was a momentary lapse of judgment. Polar Bear 1962 says, the whole time I thought you guys maybe had a miscarriage. I get being disappointed, but 4 months trying to conceive is not long at all. If she's acting this unhinged, I would consider a lot more therapy before even talking about kids. Her actions are absolutely unreal. And OP responds, I don't know if I would have been able to go to a baby shower if we were 3 months off of a miscarriage, so I'd completely understand her point of view. Actually, I probably wouldn't because I know it's different for a mother, but even I've wondered if this is normal. We have friends who are trying to conceive, and to my knowledge, they aren't taking it this hard. Shoelace posted said, only 4 months? We tried for years. Have one child, tried for more, but it's unlikely it'll happen for us anymore. Anyway, I'd never skipped my sister's baby shower because I'd been trying to conceive and it wasn't happening. I was honestly expecting this to be about a very recent miscarriage, but even then, I don't know. I still went to work after mine. I didn't feel much choice in the matter. However, that said, I was expecting this to be a too bad it was a week ago and she wants us there, when really she'd probably understand. Anyway, I guess her feelings are valid, not wanting to go, but to prevent you, I think is wrong, and locking you out is wrong too. I hope you documented it and filed a report. It could be the beginning of a pattern of abuse. And OP responds, I'm glad you have your child. Smiley face. I thought we were prepared for it to take some time. We're usually patient. I'll admit, each cycle gets harder, but I had no idea she was taking it this hard until we decided to pause. And Lemonade Lola says, Jesus Christ, absolutely not overreacting, calling it emotional cheating. It's your sister, trying to take your ability to find joy, guilting you for finding joy, locking you out of your home over this, phrasing the solution like it's all in your hands until you give me a baby. after telling you she doesn't want to start trying again? Bro, is this completely out of character? Because I can't tell if she's an awful partner or just severely mentally ill. And Opie responds, she's pretty emotional normally, but this is out of character. That's why I wasn't sure if this is normal for trying to conceive stress, if early hormonal changes even before conceiving is a thing. I don't know what I think. I'm just confused and whiplashed. The community agrees that OP is not overreacting and that they all thought this was a lot more serious than just trying to conceive for 4 months and nothing happening. And I had thought that too while reading the post. In any case, let's move on to the update to see how this story ends. First, I'll answer a few frequently asked questions from the first post. 1. She does have a diagnosis of panic disorder, hence why she's in therapy and has a psychiatrist, but she hasn't had a panic attack in quite some time. 2. No, we did not show her therapist the texts yet. I joined her therapy appointment for the first 15 to 20 minutes and they're only 45-minute sessions, so not much time to cover everything. Her therapist, per my wife, said she was in the wrong, but she didn't think there was anything emergent because she came home and fixed the problem right away. Okay, now the update. Knowing my wife, she doesn't always hear how she comes off, so I started by sitting her down and reading our text conversations out loud to her. Then let her sit with it for a bit. After about 5 minutes of silence, she started crying and said she was a monster and didn't recognize herself. I asked her why that might be, and she offered some concerns that I think are genuine. 1. She works in an office and she said 4 of her co-workers are pregnant, 2 have started maternity leave, and for the last couple of weeks she's been covering a lot for both of them, so she's been very stressed. I knew she'd been working longer hours, but didn't know how much it was stressing her out. 2. Her parents are extremely pushy about her having kids. They've made comments to us before, which I kind of wrote off as normal excited first-time grandparents to be, but she showed me texts from both of them in their family group chat in the last few months, and they've been sending her quite a few articles about fertility, parenting, etc. One text even said, "Are you actually trying or are you just teasing us?" which clearly hurt her. She shared this with her therapist several sessions ago, but never mentioned it to me. 3. She said she's afraid she's projecting her parents' frustration with her onto me and subconsciously felt like I'll leave her if we don't have kids soon, so she might have been lashing out to push me away before I could push her away. And she acknowledged that's wrong of her. We've agreed to take a few more months off of trying, 1, so her work stress can eventually decrease, and 2, so we as a team can set some boundaries with her parents. My wife has agreed she's not going to give them trying updates, and we will just tell them whenever we're ready to announce a pregnancy someday. I asked her if she realized she went psycho, and she said yes, saying she broke and doesn't even remember making some of the decisions she made, but she's very remorseful and I believe her. I'm booking with my own therapist and she is going to continue with hers. Eventually, we may add a couples therapist, but time and money aren't unlimited. She did resume working on the baby blanket she started for our incoming nephew, which she hasn't touched in months. I've kind of left her alone and noticed she cries every so often. I'll give her a hug when I notice. She cooked dinner for the first time in a while. We've been so busy, we've been surviving on frozen meals and DoorDash. This update will probably disappoint those who wanted us to divorce immediately, but it is what it is. The dust is still settling, but I feel like some mending is occurring. Additional information from OP's comments. For starters, my wife and I have been together for 10 years, married for 2. In all that time, I've never seen her act the way she did during the lockout incident. It shook me because it felt so out of character. Normally, she's tiny but mighty, an overachiever who thinks she can handle everything until suddenly she can't. That's part of what happened here. She reached a breaking point and it was the first time I'd ever seen her lose herself like that. Still, as I told someone else, she might be a monster right now, but she's my monster. Something else that stood out to me was her reaction when I told her I'd still love her even if, for whatever reason, we never had children. She seemed genuinely surprised by that. We've both been so fixated on becoming parents that we'd never really stopped to consider what life might look like if we couldn't. That's a hard thought, but the love is still there and I wanted her to hear that from me. On that note, neither of us is against adoption or other paths to parenthood. We'd welcome it if it came to that. I think saying it out loud took some pressure off both of us, even if just a little. Lastly, about the baby shower. Yes, her parents have been pushy, but I also think she's been weighed down by other family comments too. Things that might sound like jokes to outsiders, implying she isn't doing enough to get pregnant, landed heavily on her. That pressure added to the stress she was already carrying, and I can see how it pushed her to a breaking point. That's really it. I just wanted to fill in those extra pieces. None of this excuses what happened, but it does help me understand her better, and that feels important if we're going to move forward together. Well, OP, I think this is a positive update. Not only were you able to talk to your wife and get her to see how what she said hurt you, but she also understood that there was something wrong here and the way that she reacted was completely out of line, and you've both agreed on the path moving forward. So on that note, here's wishing you both the best in the future, OP. Thanks so much for sharing and take care. And now let's finish this video with a mood booster post. This post is from the subreddit Malicious Compliance, and it's by user Larry Skank. Hi, do you own the property at? I know we all hate telemarketers, but these "can I buy your house" folks push me to a new level of annoyed. They used to give out a fake company name and say Home Builders Inc. or something. I ended up Googling it and got in contact with the actual owner of that company. I believe he was out of Minnesota. He told me that there's a company in Egypt of all places that sells sales leads to American companies slipping by the legality of combing through public records for personal information. He told me to get at the American companies. I'd need to pretend to be interested in selling my house and wait for the call from the US-based company and confront them. So that's what I did. After giving some vague information that was incorrect to the Egyptian caller, I did eventually get matched and called from someone in northern Ohio. When I explained I knew what he was doing and that it wasn't legal, he eventually hung up on me and blocked me. I called from a few different numbers until he disconnected his line. Small win, but not the story I came to tell. The calls haven't stopped, so trolling is my new favorite thing. I constantly beat them to the punch and ask to buy their house. Ask them how Egypt is or what the pyramids are like. I've tried to order pizza, put them on hold to see how long they'd last, or just change the subject completely. My biggest win is when they ask you, "Do you have any other properties to sell?" I said, "In fact, I do. 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, District of Columbia, a very famous address here in the States." Somehow, my Egyptian caller wasn't familiar with it and took all my information. Regrettably, I didn't have amazing information, but I did tell him it had a fenced-in yard, ton of extra bedrooms, a big round office, and top-notch security system. 2 days later, I got a call. "Not so sure who you are, but well played. I've been laughing for the last half hour. How did you convince them you owned the White House?" The first gentleman that called got the joke. He congratulated me and we had a laugh and he hung up. An hour later, I got another call from someone who wasn't laughing. "I'm trying to figure out why I got a sales lead on the White House." Well, that's because people in Egypt, where you buy your illegal sales leads, don't know crap about America. "Yeah, well, I don't think it's funny." Well, that's tough because I think it's hysterical. Not only did you waste money on a useless sales lead, now I'm wasting your time. He told me to go F myself, but I'm not mad. Does anyone else have any famous addresses I should sell? Nicely played, OP. They wanted sales leads and they got a huge one. I'm sure if you were able to sell that house, you'd get a huge commission, wouldn't you? Anyways, thanks for sharing, OP, and take care. And that's it for today's video. Thank you so much for taking the time to watch it. Now, if you've gotten to this point in the video, I assume that you like these stories that I'm reading out. So here are a couple more that you might enjoy. And if you don't have any time to watch another story right now, save it for later. And also, don't forget to hit that subscribe button.